Well, if a lot of you were wondering, would other elephants come round to inspect the carcass? And indeed they are. So it looks like two young bulls. So I'm just keeping quiet. I'm trying to listen to if there's some grumbling. So they're not actually touching the carcass, and they are looking a little bit nervous. They are very, very, very young bulls, sort of teenagers. Now, there's a lot of different theories about elephants. I think they might just move past this injured elephant, but we're going to have to wait to see what happens. But we are going to do a quick Facebook live, so just everyone, I might keep quiet for a little bit. Good afternoon and welcome to the Sabi Sands in South Africa. My name is Brent Smith. I've got my good friend David on camera, and we are seeing something you don't get to see very often, and that is elephants inspecting the carcass of another elephant. That elephant that's dead was killed by a really big elephant bull this morning in a fight, and he's died from the injuries that happened. So a tusk went under his armpit and into his vital organs, and that's what's the main injury that killed this young elephant bull, who's probably around 25, 26. Now we've just had two sort of teenage elephants, and they've arrived to come inspect the carcass. Now, if you have any questions, please pop them on the feed below. I'd love to hear from you. So out of the two, one elephant is definitely showing a lot more interest, but there we go. So the one with the short tail is showing quite a bit more interest in the carcass. Now, there's lots of different theories about why elephants will visit carcasses of different elephants. A lot of people think it could be mourning and stuff like that. I personally, from my witnessing, I don't think it's mourning at all. I think it's more curiosity. And you can see that they haven't been here very long. They've been here less than 5 minutes, and they're already moving off and starting to feed on the grasses as they go. Now, if there had been hyenas or lions here, the elephant's behavior would have been very different, and they would have chased the predators off the carcass. Now, hello, Nancy. Nancy's wondering, how often are elephants killed by other elephants? And not that often, Nancy. It's quite rare. So this is a very, very special thing to see. It's not something we see very often. And you can see he died this morning probably around 8 o'clock. We saw him yesterday carrying that wound. And a massive carcass like this will produce a huge amount of food for vultures, for elephants, for lions, for hyenas. And at the moment there are a lot of vultures around, but the skin of that elephant is so thick that the vultures are unable to open up the carcass. So they're waiting for the lions and hyenas to arrive to open up the carcass. Now, it's a young elephant bull, probably I'd say between 25 and 30 years old, that was killed by a much bigger bull, probably around 40 years old. The big bull was in must. Must is a heightened hormonal stage that African bull elephants have when they are wanting to mate. So they've got lots of testosterone, and they can be quite unpredictable and aggressive when they are in that state. So there's some vultures in the tree, and we're going to sit here patiently. I'm hoping the vultures will come down and start feeding on the carcass, or you never know, a hyena or a lion or even a leopard might see the vultures and come inspect this carcass and maybe even start feeding on it. Now, on the carcass itself, we saw lots of little white spots. Julius was asking about those white spots on the elephant carcass. What are they from? That's vulture dung. So the vultures defecated on the carcass. Oh, there's an elephant coming back towards the carcass, Dave. So one of the elephants has moved off, and now there's a second Ellie moving back towards. It's the same one with a short tail. Noriko is asking about the smell. Does the carcass smell? Not too badly yet, Noriko. As I said, it's quite a fresh carcass. It hasn't been that hot today. It smells like meat and undigested grass, so probably a bit like a butchery or an abattoir. But no, it doesn't smell very bad yet. So we've parked quite a distance away because we don't want to disturb what's going on. We want the vultures to come down, and you can see this elephant. As I said, look, to me it's more like curiosity. You can see there we go, sniffing the skull now. There is actually a wound in that area where the elephant is sniffing that we can't see. So there is actually a wound behind the ear there that the elephant is smelling. James is asking about the tusks. James, the tusks will be removed by the park rangers and put into a safe. Now, there's actually quite a lot of blood on his tusks, and that right tusk is almost loose in the socket. So from the fight with the other bull, who was a lot bigger than him and a lot stronger. There's more elephants coming slowly from behind us. I'll let you know when they get closer, Dave. Michelle, you're spot on. It is a young elephant bull, another male inspecting the dead one, who is also an elephant bull. So young elephant bulls of that age, the sort of teenagers, will often hang out in little bachelor groups, because until they're about 30, they're actually unable to challenge for breeding rights. The bigger bulls will bully them and chase them, but very seldom actually kill them. So this is a very unusual situation. Now we've got another little teenager coming into our left, who I actually know this elephant quite well. I've seen this elephant quite a few times over the years, this little boy here. So there's three little boys all about the same age that hang out together, and those are the ones who are inspecting this carcass at the moment. You can see the trunk's up, you can smell the carcass, and he's just going down. As I say, I think it's more curiosity than mourning. No, I have seen some very strange things around elephant carcasses with elephants. I've even seen an elephant attack a dead elephant that's already been killed. So the elephant that was sniffing the carcass had a bit of moisture around its trunk. Nancy, it's just the I suppose the mucous membranes from its nose that's showing the moisture in its trunk. So now we've got the three little boys around the carcass. It's going to be interesting to see how long they stay, or they're going to move off. Lots of sniffing. Mary's asking, could they be related? It's a possibility, Mary. It's very difficult to tell, but probably not. But it is a possibility that they could be related. Very, very special scenes. Not something you get to see very often. I've only ever seen it a handful of times in my life, and I've been living in the African bush since I was 4 years old. So it's the first time I've seen it in this part of Africa. I've seen it quite a few times in northern Botswana. The one with the short tail, that's his trunk there, seems to be far more interested in the carcass than the other two. Those two look like they're having a little conversation. Hi, hello, Pradan, like a recap of what happened. So yesterday afternoon on safari, we found that elephant, he had a gaping wound under his left armpit where a big elephant bull had stabbed him with his tusk. He wasn't very well. We tried to find him again this morning on safari, but we had no luck. And then we found him after the safari this morning, and he had already died from those injuries. It looked like that big elephant bull caught up with him again and carried on beating him. So fortunately or unfortunately, it was a relatively quick death. So it's very sad to see this, but it is nature at its most raw and its most true. So this is a natural death. That elephant was killed by another elephant. We're going to sit here for a little bit longer, see what else transpires. If you want to see how the story unfolds, you can join us on YouTube. Just type in Safari Live. But for now, from David and myself, hopefully we'll see you on YouTube in a little while. Okay, so it is a very interesting scene. I mean, the one Ellie is already munching off to the right, and that elephant showed very little interest in the carcass, but the one with the stumpy tail has shown the most interest in the carcass. There you go, it's the same one there, sniffing again. Oh, but it sounds like our spotted cat sightings are hotting up. Let's go across to Taylor.